Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
Trying to close the show. She was doing a great job of feeding. That is over.
Coming up, so KP, don't you regret not coming to the net? Don't you regret not coming to the net?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
And the American League East is over. Done. Clinched. The Yankees are back on top. Thank God, man. It's it just felt good. The Yankees clinched the AL East over the O's. I mean, this is a team that, listen, they missed the postseason last year. It was an abysmal year, to say the very least, last season. You have what happened with Judge. You felt like you needed another star power bat in there, right? Just another bat next to Judge, because it just did not produce offense. And so you go out, there's a bunch of noise, a bunch of vitriol around the fan base, and I didn't expect it. I was hoping for it. I was praying for it since the beginning of time. But December 6th comes, and you get the notification on your phones that the New York Yankees traded for the generational Juan Soto. And that ends up being news that would completely rejuvenate the fan base and get them ready for next year. That was a move they had to make, by the way. I'll credit Cashman, but I'm not going to, go over the top with praise. They absolutely needed to make that move, and so they did. And then, camp comes around. Things are looking good, things are feeling good, and then, just like that, you get the news that Garrett Cole has this UCL tear. You worry, is he done? Is he done for this year? Is he going to come back sometime next year? And he's probably not going to be that good. And turns out it was best case scenario for something like that. But you were still without him for a couple months, so you needed guys to step up. And man, did you get that. Carlos Rodon had a bounce back season. Marcus Stroman was important in those moments. Luis Gil was the best pitcher in the world for those couple months without Garrett Cole. Clark Schmidt looked good before the injury. So now you're back on top. You're not just in the postseason, but you've got your division title. You got your second division title in the last 3 years now. And it feels better this way. Like Baltimore, come on. They weren't ever going to reign on the top of that division. This isn't them. This isn't their time. Young kids, fun. This is the Yankees. This is the AL East, and it's the Yankees division, and it's always going to be about us. We're the Yankees. We're better than you. You are inferior, and that's how it's always been and should be. So that's the mentality I'm riding with heading into October. The cocky, arrogant Yankees fan mentality, because that's when the Yankees are at their best. Obviously, you still have one series left, 3 games to go. You still want the number 1 seed if you want home field over the next, for the LCS. So the magic number for that, I think, is 2, because the Yankees are 1 game up on Cleveland with 3 games remaining. And the Yankees do own the tiebreaker. So, it doesn't really matter if things remain the way they are. If Cleveland does advance to the LC, or if the Yankees advance to the LCS and Cleveland doesn't, that 1 seed doesn't matter because they have a better record than everybody else. But the Yankees have clinched the American League East. I had no problem, by the way, with the celebration last night. Whatever. Making the playoffs is, thinking about it, it was a little interesting to me. But you won your division. That's a big deal. You're getting a bye. 5-day layoff, who gives a fuck? I'm not making a big deal out of that. Man up and play baseball, win games. You have the roster to where you should be able to handle that. So, the Yankees are the number 1 seed again. All feels right. Let's get into the series against the Baltimore Orioles, and then we'll talk more postseason stuff afterwards. Before we do dive into the series itself, before the series, I think it was Monday, you got news that Ron Marinaccio, who was DFA'd last week, was picked up by the Chicago White Sox. They claimed him off waivers, and that's unfortunate, man, because this kid has had a rocky road with the Yankees between getting promoted and then getting optioned again and back and forth, and they just, whether he performed well or didn't perform well, he was always optioned back down to Scranton after. So that's unfortunate for the kid. Now he's got to go to Chicago. He finally gets out of New York. He's like, all right, maybe he'll get a chance somewhere else to pitch. And yeah, you're going to get a chance with the worst team in baseball history. So hopefully he doesn't last there. Hopefully he's, shipped off somewhere to a place where he can pitch and be happy in. But Marinaccio claimed by the White Sox. Mark Leiter was sent to the paternity list. Scott Efros was called up Thursday morning because of that. And the big news. Cody Poteet is up. We saw Cody Poteet this series. He's back up with the big league squad because Nestor Cortes was put onto the 15-day DL on Wednesday morning. It's an elbow issue. He was sent to get an MRI. What he said, his comments make it seem like he's probably done. He said maybe by the ALCS if the Yankees advance. But whatever. I'm not banking on him. I kind of had I don't know if it was I kind of had a different reaction. Yeah. Than most Yankees fans when I got the news on Cortes. My initial reaction was I was kind of just neutral. Obviously, he's an important piece. He's been good. He's that Swiss Army knife who's very versatile for you. He can start for you. He can come out of the pen. He's been fine, right? He's had a fine year, and he's been on a roll of late. I still don't think it's that big of a deal because we're going into the postseason now. If this was the middle of June, sure, that's more of an issue. But Nestor Cortes, before the injury, wasn't part of the ALDS rotation. That's been Cole Rodon Heel for the longest time. That's the way they're lined up now. It's the way they're going to go. It's Cole Rodon Heel. And, you're losing that guy in the pen. Well, that's why you have Clark Schmidt. Because Clark Schmidt can be that long man out of the pen. Clark Schmidt can be your number 4 if you make it to the ALCS. That's the positive all year of the Yankees is they've had a lot of pitching depth. They have a lot of guys who can pitch in the bullpen and pitch in the rotation. Their pitching depth has saved them in this scenario. Cortes is a little expendable because you've got a guy like Clark Schmidt. In worst case scenario, Marcus Stroman will be carried. You got Cody Poteet, who can also play that same role. Be that final starter if you need him to, but he's most likely going to give you length out of the bullpen. So he'll probably make the playoff roster now. A guy who can go deep and give you a few innings. He's got a good changeup. this is a guy who I think Matt Blake can actually turn into a decent pitcher for them. So they've got the pitching depth to where the Cortez news, while it's never good to hear, part of your rotation and your pitching staff go down, it's manageable. It's not like I'm not lowering the Yankees ceiling after hearing that news, But that's all in as far as the injury stuff and in-house stuff is related. Let's get into this series. I don't want to dive too deep into this series because there was only one game that meant anything. But we will talk about it. Tuesday, game 1, the Yankees lost 5-3 over Baltimore. They lost 2 out of 3, by the way. They lost 5-3 on Tuesday. This was the righty Schmidt versus the righty Kramer. Schmidt finishes going 5 1/3, 3 runs, 4 hits, a walk, 7 strikeouts, a home run, 100 pitches, and he gets the loss. He wasn't great. This pitch mix in this game, 39 cutter, which was, it was a pitch that was hit around a little bit in this game. 27 sweepers, sliders, whatever you want to call it. He hung one of them for a home run. 21 sinkers. He was getting ground balls with the sinker. Baltimore was just 1 for 6 off the pitch. And then he got some good swing and miss on the curveball. There, he threw 13 of them. But he allowed a run in the top of the second where he surrenders a 1-out base hit to Westberg, a ground rule double to O'Hearn to put runners on second and third, and then gets a ground out to Kyrgyzstan. A run scores to make it 1-0 Baltimore, and then another run scores top 4. Santander, a leadoff walk. Clark Schmidt loses the zone with his breaking balls. And then O'Hearn steps up to the plate, gets a 93-mile-an-hour cutter on top of the zone, and he picks up a 2-out RBI base hit to make it 2-0 Baltimore. Top 6, Santander gets a hanging sweeper to lead off the inning with a solo home run. It hits the right field foul pole. That's when Clark Schmidt's pulled. Actually, it wasn't to lead off the inning, but it makes it 3-1. Schmidt's pulled. The pen comes in after that. They go 3 2/3. Mesa's the first guy in. He was good in the 6th inning. Bad in the 7th. Gives up the leadoff home run to Urias. 4-1 Baltimore. His final line, 1 inning, 1 run, 3 hits, a walk, a home run. That's because Mark Leiter came in and was scoreless the rest of the 7th inning. So he throws 2/3 of an inning, no runs, 1 walk. Hamilton, in a 1-run game, was pretty bad. He hasn't been good lately. Top of the 8th inning, he comes in and gives up a solo home run to Cowser, who might win Rookie of the Year. Leaves a Slambio up in the zone to him. That's crushed. So Hamilton's final line, an inning and a third, 1 run on a hit, which was the home run. And then Kahnle was fine in the 9th inning, 2/3 of an inning, no runs, a walk. It was interesting why the Yankees were so quick to punt this game away. Why Boone was just so, I don't know, it was like they went to the special teams unit in a tight game. They went right to Mesa, right to Leiter. It was a 2-run game in the 6th inning, and they go to those guys. That's usually their lower leverage guys. But Boone gave up kind of quickly to me. The bats, though, weren't great. 3 runs on 7 hits, 3 extra base hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. They grounded into 1 double play, and they were 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Against Dean Kramer, they got 1 run in 5 innings. That was the Judge solo home run in the bottom of the 4th that he took to left center field to make it 2-1 Baltimore. Bottom 5, that's when you had Rizzo and Volpe with leadoff walks, and then the Yankees fans boo Verdugo, and I'm sure part of that was directed towards Boone because Verdugo ends that rally with a ground ball double play. He started over Dominguez in this game. Against the Baltimore bullpen, they got a little more success against them when they scored in the bottom of the 7th. Baltimore at the time was up 4-1. This is against Kahnle. Torres hits an RBI double to make it 4-2. Soto comes to the plate next. He picks up an RBI single, 4-3. This was the Torres Rojas incident. Torres makes base running mistakes at least once a series. The guy is a laughing stock fundamentally. You know, whether it's at second base, whether it's on the bases, the guy just doesn't have a brain. You know, he's dumb. So that happened. Torres goes 3 for 4 in the game. He has a double, an RBI, but still finds a way to lose the game for the Yankees. The Yankees go on to lose 5-3. And that was a crucial play in the game. Rojas told him to stop. Let me remind you, Torres makes this base running error with Judge coming up to the plate next. You cannot do that. The guy who's on pace to get 60 maybe again comes up to the plate next. Rojas is literally giving you a stop sign. And all you have to do is stand on third base like a good boy and don't move. But the throw is made to second base from the catcher. And now Torres tries to get cute and sneak an extra base there by going home, but he's caught in a rundown, and that ends the rally. Judge was coming up next. And I think Judge was a little angry because shout out to him. He kind of called Torres out in the post game. Something new. You know, it started out while he was like heading towards the usual Booney type answer where, you know, he was going, well, you know, he was hustling, I get it. But then he kind of got into it and he was like, well, that still can't happen. We can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot. And I was like, hell yeah, that's what you got to say. That's what the captain should be saying. You know, we're all tired of the get him tomorrow. It's okay. He's our guy. He's the best in the league at this position. Comment. We've been hearing that for years, months. We're tired of it. That's the comment I wanted to hear. Torres is the type of player where he needs to be woken up like that. As we know. That's why he's been hitting after he was embarrassed by Boone. Offensively, he goes 3 for 4. Soto goes 1 for 4 with a double and an RBI. Judge goes 1 for 3. Homer, walk, RBI. Rizzo's 1 for 2, double and 2 walks. Volpe goes 0 for 2 with a walk. It was weird to see him pinch hit for with Dominguez and not Verdugo 1 at bat later. You know, your best defensive player versus the lowest OPS on the team. But Verdugo goes 1 for 4, grounds into a double play. You know, he had the failed bunt attempt in the first inning. And then Wells, Stanton, and Jazz Chisholm all combined to go 0 for 12 in this game. But that was the Tuesday loss. We get to Wednesday. The Yankees lose 7-9. They almost come back. The righty Stroman's going up against the righty Eflin. Stroman was horrendous. He goes 3 1/3, 6 runs, 10 hits, no walks, a strikeout, 1. 0 home runs allowed, 66 pitches, takes the loss. He was awful. And what really pissed me off after this game was the comments by who but manager Aaron Boone saying, and I quote, "I thought the stuff was okay. His actual stuff is good and is making tough pitches." Making some tough pitches. No. No. I love Stroman. Like the guy a lot. Love the energy, the edge, all that stuff. He's dumpster juice. He's had a bad year. He's washed up. The stuff's just not there anymore, man. You can't tell us the stuff is okay when we're baseball fans. We know what we're watching. He throws 89 with little to no movement on his pitches. He has to nibble because if he's anywhere near the zone, that shit's getting barreled. His stuff has become infamously poor around baseball the last 2 seasons because it's just so flat. He doesn't spin it. He doesn't miss any bats. And because of that, he gives up consistent hard contact. He's got extremely underwhelming stuff, Aaron. Movement, velo, spin. None of it's good. None of it is good. You know, you can look this up nowadays, folks. You know, if you don't have a pair of eyes to tell that his stuff isn't good, you could still look it up. Go on his Savant page. All the results on his Savant page are telling you, yeah, his stuff's not good because everything there is blue. All those charts are blue. You know, his expected ERA is bad. His expected batting average, his fastball velo is in the 5th percentile. His whip percentage is in the 10th. His K percentage is in the 7th. His stuff does not get chases. 24th percentile. He's washed. He just doesn't have the arsenal that you want. You know, the top of the first inning in this game was a friggin' nightmare. And it wasn't all his fault, but a lot of it was. He gives up 6 straight singles to start the game. You get Gunnar Henderson, Westberg, and Santander all with base hits off of hanging sliders, hanging cutters. Cowser, that's when he steps to the plate and he rips that 2-run single to left field. That's when Dominguez misplays the ball again. Makes the throw to get Santander at third base, but it's 2-0 Baltimore by then. Mountcastle steps to the plate next. RBI base hit 3-0. It was a nightmarish first inning, and it didn't look good for Dominguez. We'll talk more about that stuff. But top 3, you know, Volpe makes the E6. Fortunately, that goes unscathed. But then top 4, gives up more runs. Stroman does. He was awful. 3 more base hits. He gives up a leadoff base hit to Urias off a hanging sinker. He gives up a base hit to Mullins to put runners on the corners with nobody out. And then Gunnar Henderson with a 2-run base hit. And that's when Stroman's pulled right there for beater in a 5-1 game. So, that's his performance. 32 sinkers. His sinker was hit around. He threw 12 cutters. That was also hit around in this game. He threw 13 breaking balls. When I say breaking balls, I mean slurve, sweeper, slider. He throws all that shit. It's all the same shit. That was hit around. Threw 7 splitters. That was hit around. And he threw 2 four-seamers. So, yeah, the way I would describe Marcus Stroman's first season in Yankees uniform, below average. You know, a little underwhelming. But not totally unexpected. You know, he had a 4.31 ERA. 95 ERA plus, 1.47 whip. That's horrible. Threw 154 and 2/3 innings, so that's a positive. He 8 innings, but he gave up 167 hits. He only struck out 113 batters. Hopefully, that was his last start of the year. If anything, you have to think he's coming out of the bullpen as a mop-up guy in the playoffs. But, yeah, I love the guy. I really appreciate the edge he brings. I like his style. But he's not that good of a pitcher anymore. So, yeah, Clayton Beeter, top of the 4th, gives up the RBI double to Santander, 6-1. RBI double to Cowser. That's when Soto misplays a ball. Makes it 7-1. Top 5, Mullins draws a 2-out, 4-pitch walk. He steals second base. McCann rips an RBI double. That's when Beeter is pulled for Poteet. It's 8-1 at that time. So Beeter's final line, not great. An inning and 2/3, 2 runs, an inherited run, 3 hits, and a walk. Poteet throws a clean 5th, 6th, and a clean 7th inning. Top of the 8th. He gives up a run. Mullins leadoff double. McCann with a single after that off of a sinker up in the zone. So runners on the corners with no outs. And then Gunnar Henderson strikes out swinging with Poteet gone with a good 4-seam curveball sequence at the end there. And but that's when he gives up the RBI base hit up the middle to Westberg. 93-mile-an-hour fastball up and out. Goes and gets it, and it's 9-3 Baltimore. But Poteet's final line, 3 1/3, 1 run, 3 hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Leiter pitches an inning after that, no runs, a hit, 3 strikeouts. The Yankee bats finished with 7 runs, 10 hits, 2 home runs, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, a double play grounded into, and they were 5 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Against Eflin, they got 3 runs on him in 4 2/3. Bottom 2, Baltimore's up 3-0. Volpe picks up an RBI base hit to cut it to 3-1. And then bottom 5 with Baltimore up 8-1. Soto hits the 2-run home run off a hanging sinker. 8-3 Baltimore at that point. Yankees get 4 runs on the Baltimore bullpen in 4 1/3, and obviously they come in the bottom of the 9th when Baltimore's up 9-3. You got Soto at the plate versus Matt Bowman, and he rips an RBI base hit to make it 9-4. Guy's clutch as shit. Judge steps up to the plate. He gets a hanging slider from Bowman, and he punishes it for a 3-run home run to put it at 9-7. That's when Bowman's pulled for Keegan Aiken, who gets 2 pop-ups from Wells and Stanton to end the rally, and the Yankees lose. So they come short offensively, but this game was more just about poor fundamental baseball once again, right? Obviously Dominguez, but Volpe, Jazz Chisholm, and against Soto, all with misplays in this game. And that's Booney's little bombers, right? That mentality of it's okay, get them next time, warm milky and cookie for everyone post game. It's going to keep happening. That's what I'm concerned about with this team because their manager lets it happen. Fortunately, things didn't have to get nerve-wracking because the Yankees ended the bullshit and they picked up a big win Thursday, last night, with a 10-1 victory. Garrett Cole on the mound. Burns opposing him. The Yankees go for 10 runs on 8 hits, 4 extra base hits, 5 walks, 14 strikeouts. They ground into a double play, but they were 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position. They only got 1 run on Burns in 5 innings. That 1 run came in the second when Stanton mashed a solo home run. He went down and got a slider low. One of the only guys who could do that. He's really just consistently a good low ball hitter. Bottom 5, Jazz grounds out, Dominguez strikes out, Rizzo grounds out, swinging 3-0. Burns' pitch count was very low at that point. You got to take. 3-0, and he swings and ends the inning. But the bullpen comes in after that. Only 5 innings for Burns. I'm assuming they're just resting him for the wild card game. Game 1 of the wild card. But the Yankees get 9 runs on the bullpen in 3 innings. Bottom of the 6th, they score 6 runs, and they put 7 base runners on in 8 at-bats. With 1 out, Torres, Soto, and Judge all reach to load the bases. That's when Kahnle was pulled. And then Wells steps up to the plate, and he starts this rally. This was a massive 6-pitch walk against Perez to bring in a run, 2-0. Stanton steps up to the plate next, and he rips a 2-run double to the outfield on a sinker low in the zone, 160 miles an hour off the bat, and gives the Yankees a little bit of breathing room to make it 5-0. Rizzo comes up to the plate after that. He picks up a 2-run single. He pulls it. So some more pull power here from Rizzo. 2-run base hit off of Baker. It's 7-0 Yankees. Bottom 7, Judge hits the 2-run home run off Baker. 96-mile-an-hour fastball, middle. 58 on the year. 9-0 Yankees. Bottom 8, Verdugo's in the game at this point versus Bowman. And he picks up a solo home run, 10-0. The Yankees win this game 10-1. Rich Hill gives up a meaningless run in the 9th. Clay Holmes got an appearance. But offensively, Aaron Judge, 1 for 2, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, a home run. Austin Wells, 0 for 3, an RBI and a walk. Stanton, 2 for 4, 4 RBIs, a home run, and a double. Dominguez, 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base. So it was good to see him still play. No timeout here from Uncle Booney. He was allowed to play after making the error, so that's good. A young player making that mistake versus a veteran making that mistake, I'd have a different tune if he was back in there, but it's good. Verdugo comes in again later, hits the home run, and then Rizzo finishes his night, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. But this game wasn't as good as they were. It wasn't about the offense. This game was about the Yankee ace needing to do what he has to do. And Garrett Cole in this game is getting my salute. I'm tipping my cap to Garrett Cole because he was fantastic. Garrett Cole, 6 2/3 innings, no runs, 2 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts, no home runs, 101 pitches, and the win. He had to be the ace coming in. He had a good start against Oakland, 9 innings, 1 run. That was adorable, but this really needed to be the one. This is why he makes the money. Go out there and shove and clinch the division for your team. And he did exactly that. He had to be an ace. He pitched like an ace. He was fantastic. He threw 42 four-seam fastballs, 17 curves, 15 slider, 11 cutter, and 6 changeup. But he was working. The bread and butter was his four-seam curve combo last night. Those 2 pitches were exceptional. You know, the four-seam, as he got deeper into the game, was sitting 97, 98. It had life to it. You know, it was put in play, but it was just getting a lot of ground ball outs. Got outs with it. The curveball had some excellent shape to it. Really dropping that in the zone for called strikes, getting some swing and miss on it, some soft contact. He was attacking lefties with both the four-seamer and curve. And Baltimore bats were 0 for 14 on those 2 pitches combined. The cutter looked pretty good too. The cut fastball has looked good again. You know, we've talked about it plenty of times on the show. It's not a pitch I love for Cole, but recently it looks a lot better. In his last 7 starts, opponents are 4 for 18 on the cutter with 3 base hits, 1 double, a 278 slug. And he's only allowed just singles in his last 5 starts on the cutter. So he's keeping it away from the middle of the plate, which is key. You know, he went upstairs to Santander to get a fly out off of it. He went in on the hands to O'Hearn to get a fly out. Gives up a ground ball base hit. But the pitch looks good. It looks a lot better recently, and it's going to be a key pitch for him in October. You know, to have a fastball that has a little bit of cut on it to be able to go into the left-handed hitter and go away from the righty. And then you can go to that slider. So the slider was getting some soft contact in this game. The changeup, he was throwing to lefties, and it was never put in play. So he was great. You know, top of the 5th, he allows his first hit of the night. Urias with a 2-out base hit to right field. It was a cutter away off the end of the bat. But he gets Mullins to ground out to Rizzo after 10 pitches. And then top of the 6th, he ends his night striking out Santander with 2 runners on, with 2 out and a runner on second base. He gets Santander to strike out swinging. He goes 97 up and in for a swing and miss strike 1, 96 low and in to get a swing and miss strike 2. Then he goes 97 in on the hands. Santander fouls it off. And then he drops a curve right on top of the zone. Seemed like it clipped the top of the zone, but it was called the ball. Yankee Stadium didn't like it. Boone didn't like it. Cole didn't like it because the very next pitch was 98 up and in to get a swing and miss strike 3. And as he's walking off the mound, he is staring down the home plate umpire, just staring him down, not even flinching, just not even knowing where he's walking, just walking and looking straight at the ump. He wanted the ump to know he was looking at him. And that's the mode Cole was in all night. He was in ace mode. He was in the zone. He was dialed in. And this was exactly what you needed. So, good on Garrett Cole. Actually, no, he did go out there for the top of the 7th because he recorded 2 outs. So he gets Cowser to strike out swinging on 3 pitches. Goes 4-seam changeup slider. And then he gets the line out to Adley. That's when Kahnle comes in. Then Cole walks off the mound. I think Boone wanted him to get the standing O. That's why he didn't let him go 7. So the stadium goes wild for him. They give him a nice cheer. Cole tips his cap and wraps up his regular season, which was a solid regular season for Garrett Cole considering the injury. Again, we didn't think we'd see him until sometime 2025. We didn't know how he would look returning. So, again, props to the guys, Heel, Rodon, Stroman, Schmidt, all of them for holding it down. But Garrett Cole's back, and he's now your best pitcher. I am all the way back in on Garrett Cole, by the way. There were some moments during his return where I was a little iffy, right? After the Devers start, I was a little iffy there. Again, I was kind of back out, but I'm back in. He's fine with me. His regular season wraps up, and across 17 starts, he goes 8-5 with a 3.41 ERA, 95 pitches, 99 innings, 99 strikeouts, and a 113 WHIP. Very solid. So, just a couple blow-up starts against Boston and the Mets. That's it. 13 of 17 starts on the year for Cole have been 5 innings or better, 3 runs or less. So, 5 salutes now on the season for Garrett. In his last 13 starts, he's got a 2.68 ERA, 77 2/3 innings, just 58 hits, 80 strikeouts, 20 walks, 6 home runs allowed. So, he is going into the postseason in mid-season form. This is exactly where you want Garrett Cole to be right now. This is his June. He's going into October, but his body's in June. And that's exactly what you want. So I'm excited for Saturday. I will be there Saturday the 5th. I will be in attendance with a couple of my family members, cousins and siblings, and it's going to be a friggin' blast. So Garrett Cole, absolutely tip my cap to you for being an ace when you were needed last night. Let's head to break. When we get back, I want to talk a little bit about this left field situation because it's now become a situation, and we'll talk about it for a few minutes. Stay with us. Be back in a minute.
Hey there. Thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much. You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4.
Welcome back to the show. Episode 714 of the podcast. The Yanks clinched the American League East over the O's. Let me fix this graphic because that's not correct. The Yankees lost 2 out of 3. Okay. The Yanks clinched the AL East over the O's. So the left field situation has become a situation. Dominguez, it all kind of started against Detroit when he was called up for that one day. The end of the game, there's a big play. He's very hesitant to make that throw to home, and that costed the Yankees the game. Right? And then he gets recalled weeks later, and, he's showing signs at the plate. I don't think anybody's worried about the offense. The power looks legitimate from the left side. He's getting on base with walks. He's stealing bases and advancing into scoring position and all that stuff. But the defense remains an issue because he's dropped 3 fly balls since the recall. And these are routine fly balls. One of them you could say was the sun, but it doesn't matter. These are routine fly balls that any big league player should be able to catch. I get that. I'm also going to say something that might come across as a hot take right now. And that's, I really don't care that much about defense. And I think that it's time that the New York Yankees care just a little teensy tiny bit about offense for once with these prospects, right? It's time to get a little bit real. And let's worry about the name of the game here. Because you want to sit here and you say Verdugo's or Dominguez is costing the Yankees games because of 3 drop balls. Are we forgetting the fact that Verdugo hurts this team because of his offense more than Dominguez has hurt them because of 3 fly balls? Now, I know the point here is that this could happen again in the postseason because maybe he's just not major league ready. But Alex Verdugo, since May 8th, now this was heading into yesterday, so this is excluding the 1-for-4 with the home run. But Verdugo, since May 8th, across 112 games and 471 plate appearances entering yesterday, 221 batting average, 271 on base percentage, 326 slugging, and a 596 OPS. That is also not major league caliber. And that is, again, 112 game sample of being the worst hitter in Major League Baseball. But Dominguez is not allowed to produce offense for this team because he dropped a couple of fly balls. Get the fuck out. And, it's frustrating. But if the Yankees have anybody to blame, it's themselves, by the way. Because Dominguez was eligible to return from the oblique injury July 26th. That was his first game back with Scranton. What they should have done, and I know it's easy to sit here and say what you should have done, but you could have rehabbed him for a few series, and then at the very latest, had him back up here by mid-August to get used to the Yankee Stadium dimensions, to get used to Major League pitching, and having him bat from the right side of the plate against Major League pitchers. But the Yankees, whether they were worrying about rookie eligibility or whatever they were worrying about, waited until I think it was September 9th to make the recall. And now they cry wolf. And now we have this concern where because they waited so long, we can't even, most likely we're not even going to have the best lineup out there in the postseason because the Yankees treated Dominguez so oddly this season. So oddly. So there's a good chance that he's not going to be starting in October because of this. Because the Yankees continue to act like idiots. They treat some prospects different than others. Why does Volpe get free reign? The kid is 2 years into his major league career. He still can't hit. Love the guy. Nice kid from here. Love him. But he can't hit. He was promoted March 2023. And he was never sent back down. And he plays basically every day up here at the major league level. Why couldn't Cabrera, who's been hitting for a while, get some reps at shortstop in the middle of the summer when Volpe wasn't hitting? Here and there. Why couldn't he get some reps there? They had to wait till September to give him a couple of them. It's the Yankees' faults. Because they act like idiots who try to force things way too much. They're playing everyone into positions that they aren't in. Would we be surprised if they continue to make these defensive flaws in the postseason? Because they've got 6'7", 280-pound Judge, who's a right fielder, playing center field. They've got Soto, who's a career left fielder, playing right field. They've got Dominguez, a natural center fielder, playing left field. They've got Jazz Chisholm trying to learn third base on the fly in the middle of a postseason pennant race. A second baseman who hasn't got a single rep at second base since he's come to the Yankees. All this time, when Stanton gets days off from DH and he's on the bench, that's when you should be slotting some of these guys into those spots in the outfield. So, if you want to argue that the Yankees are good enough offensively to where they can sacrifice for some defense in the postseason, then at the very most, go to Cabrera in left field. I still think Dominguez should start in the postseason because you could never have enough offense, because power is the name of the game. Power trumps all. Fielding isn't winning championships in modern day baseball. I'm sorry. Power wins championships in modern day baseball. Power and pitching. Okay? But Verdugo is simply not good enough offensively to have that spot in the playoffs. And I know apparently the word offense is very scary to the Yankees. It seems very unimportant to them because they show you all these defensive players like, oh, Volpe, but his defense, Verdugo, but his defense. It seems like, they're just so hell-bent. All of a sudden, they're not about offense. But, Verdugo cannot start a single game. He doesn't have the offense to start a postseason game for them. He can be a defensive replacement. But even then, I would still go to Grisham. If you want to do the thing you did last night, Dominguez comes out after his first 3 at-bats. I don't love that, but just start the guy. At least you're starting the guy. So maybe what yesterday was Boone saying, hey, we're going to stick with you. Because if there was a day where you end Dominguez and you end that doubt, it was yesterday, where they could have easily went to Verdugo after what happened in game 2. But they stuck with their kid, so maybe that was them saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have you start the games, and then late in the game, we'll make that defensive switch. Which still I don't love, because you're giving an at-bat to Verdugo late in the game, which I guess you can pinch hit him at that point, but then why make that switch to begin with? Just go straight to Cabrera. Like, I think if they're going to do anything with Dominguez, whether it's not start him or take him out late, Grisham or Cabrera should be the guy. But please start Dominguez. Because they're making this guy, it's like he's Cespedes out there with the Mets. Remember, Cespedes was just kicking the ball around? Like, he's graded out. He was evaluated in the minor league system as an average outfielder with a plus arm. Let's stop acting like he's already not going to be a good major league outfielder just because he's had some really rough blunders already to start his career. That doesn't mean shit. Soto's looked like a clown. He's looked like a total clown in right field, but nobody cares because he mashes. And that's the hope here with Dominguez, is that his upside eventually makes it meaningless. But let's relax. So I'm sticking with my guy Dominguez this entire time. The good thing is the Yankee money bats, the big money bats, are getting hot at the perfect time. Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton are all hot again at the same exact time. And that's when this offense looks really fucking good. It is the perfect time for all of these guys to be swinging it well. Oh boy, is it. You got Juan Soto. In his last 9 games, he's batting .345, 7 RBIs, 7 walks, 5 extra base hits. He looks crisp again, right? Deep at-bats, walks, base hits, hardliners. He's been super clutch. If there is one guy I want up in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs and you're down a run, it's this guy. It's Juan Soto. He's been good. Aaron Judge is back. Since the Paw Patrol curse ended, where he went whatever amount of games it was without a home run. Since that ended, 12 games, he's batting .405, 18 RBIs, 14 walks, 10 extra base hits. He's also homered in each of his last 5 games, by the way. Freaking phenomenal. Giancarlo Stanton has been hitting. Since the Boston series, in his last 10 games, he's batting .294 with a .964 OPS, 10 RBIs, 7 walks, and 5 extra base hits. He's hitting the ball super fucking hard. Super fucking hard. And this is just, it's been a win of a season. It's been a win of a season for Giancarlo Stanton to have, what has he got? 70 RBIs, 27 home runs, and a 781 OPS, I think it is. That is an absolute win after thinking he was washed up. Seeing what he did the last 2 seasons for the Yankees, I thought he was done. But he's back. The numbers there on the surface level are there. You go to his Savant page. I mean, the bat speed's back. His bat speed is number 1 in baseball. The hard hit numbers, the barrel numbers, the exit velos are there. Super hard line drive hits. So I know Stanton can be very frustrating. I know he's very one-dimensional. I know he's very streaky. I know he'll take bad swings at those sliders low and away. Yes, I get it. The old man hate him because of that. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, are you helping your team win games? And Giancarlo Stanton is producing runs, which is the name of the game, folks. He's producing runs. He's been the best hitter on the team after Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. He's their 3rd best bat. And at the end of the day, I just don't get the hate because the guy has been a playoff performer. Isn't that the only thing that we care about? I mean, look at his postseason resume. It's really good. It's the best on the team for years. His first ever playoff game, he hits a home run. He has a .389 on base percentage in 2019. Then he goes absolutely bonkers in the 2020 postseason against Cleveland, against Tampa, where he posts a 1426 OPS that year. 2021 wild card at Fenway Park, he goes 3 for 4. And even last postseason, 2022, it was his worst playoff yet, but he still put up a .438 slugging and has a team-leading 7 RBIs. So his resume's there. He's got a .963 postseason OPS. The guy shuts up, he's accountable, and he continues to go out there and just mash when it matters most. Big hit after big hit. So I'm very intrigued to see what Stanton can do in the postseason. Now that he's batting fifth and kind of just less pressure with the two primary focuses being Judge and Soto, and then you got Wells after them two. You know, Stanton's got a lot less pressure now in the postseason, unlike before. I'm curious to see what that looks like. But folks, that's going to be the formula. It's going to be those three guys. The big money bats got to produce, right? They're going to be relied on. Soto, Judge, Giancarlo. And then you're asking for a few contributions between everybody else. Between Volpe, Rizzo, Chisholm, the Martian, Verdugo, Torres, Cabrera, Wells. Get some contributions between them. A few of those guys start hitting. You get your big money bats producing. And that's your attack. And it's an attack that I'm very confident in. So, I know Judge's postseason resume has not been great. So he needs to step it up. It's going to start with him, right? He started out, his postseason career wasn't always terrible. 2017 wildcard game, he goes 2 for 4, home run, walk, 2 RBIs, 3 runs. In the 2017 LCS, he hits 3 home runs, 2 doubles. He has 7 RBIs, 4 walks. In the 2018 wildcard, he goes 2 for 3. A home run, a double, a walk, 2 RBIs, scores 2 runs. 2018 LDS, he hits 2 home runs, draws 2 walks, scores 4 runs. And then in the 2019 LDS, he had a .529 on base percentage. 2019 LCS, he had his moments. And then after that, that's when it started to get really ugly for Aaron Judge. From 2020 to 2022, Aaron Judge is batting .143 with a .208 on base, a .357 slugging, which gives him a .565 OPS in the postseason in those last 3 playoffs. That's something that needs to change. So it's gonna start with him. Now, hopefully, after Juan Soto helps him out now. You know, that's a little different. But what I like is that the Yankees, to wrap up the season here, have been getting some good reps in against tough starting pitching. Right? They just faced Eflin and Burns. You know, this is a team who the Yankees could very well face in the first round. The Yankees got to Eflin pretty well. Burns gave him a tough time. They're going to face, you know, obviously the Pirates aren't going to be there, but they're facing good elite pitching in this upcoming series against Pittsburgh, right? Jones and Skeens. Jones throws, 97-mile-an-hour fastballs. He's got a wipeout slider. Obviously, Paul Skeens with 100-mile-an-hour fastball, deep pitch mix. He's got a good slider, filthy changeup. He's got that splinter pitch that he likes to throw, splitter, sinker, and so they're facing good pitching. They're getting reps in against top-notch pitching, which is going to help them going into the postseason, I believe. But the Yankees, in my opinion, man, have the roster. They have a roster that can match up very well with AL contenders. And as of now, as we sit here now and record this episode, it's Friday, September 27th, the morning of. The Yankees will be facing the winner of the Royals-Baltimore series. Both teams who've been scuffling for a little bit. But in my opinion, when you get to the postseason, the roster is the only thing that matters. Who has the best roster that's capable of getting hot? And the Royals, to me, have a very solid roster. They have an elite rotation with the top three that I'm a little scared of. Seth Lugo's legitimate. Cole Reagans is a tough lefty. And the Yankees struggle against any lefty. Their lineup is very strong. You know, they've got Witt. Obviously, they've got Salvi, a few others there capable. So they have a capable lineup. Their bullpen's pretty bad. They do have Urseg in the back. And that guy's nasty. The Yankees against the Orioles were 4-2 this year with a plus 16 run differential. And if you want to, hold something against the Orioles, they do play in a really, really bad division. So that's an opponent we could see in the division series. Baltimore, another solid roster. Their rotation is good. Burns can match Cole at this point in their careers. They have a rookie lefty in there. Their lineup is deeper than the Yankees. They have more guys they can go to. But what they don't have is two historic Hall of Famers in their prime batting 2 and 3. Right? Their pen is also very bad. The Yankees get to the Baltimore bullpen. They're very comfortable against some of those guys. Kahnle, they're very comfortable hitting against Kahnle. They pick up his fastball well. They were spitting on his off-speed pitches last night. Drawing walks, picking up base hits, knocked him out of the game. They're very good against the Baltimore bullpen, which has been very bad for that team. But the Orioles do have the Yankees number this year. The Yankees are just 5-8 against them. They have a minus 6 run differential against the Orioles. So it's going to be a tough series if they end up facing them. But let's say the Yankees somehow fall to the second seed and they end up having to face the winner of Detroit and Houston. Then you could see Houston around earlier, And Houston's always going to be in the conversation, of course. The mental aspect's going to play a role. Maybe, I don't think that's just a Yankees fan thing. I think the Yankees actually feel that. And they've rebounded okay, I guess, after a really bad start to the season. They've rebounded okay. But they have the roster, right? They have good pitching. They have a good rotation. They have a good bullpen. In their rotation, they've got 2 lefties who can neutralize the Yankees. Kikuchi is a Yankee killer. Framber that guy is tough on the Yankees. Gets ground balls. So 2 lefties that can just throw out there. You could throw out there against the Yankee bats who've not figured out lefties this year. So that worries me. Those are 2 games in a series where you're probably not a favorite. Logically. They're a good hitting team. They have a good lineup. You got familiar faces at the top of that lineup. You got Jose Altuve. You got Alvarez. You got Bregman. If Alvarez is healthy, that's a legit lineup. But then you look at them and you're like, well, they're a very old team, man. They don't seem like the same dominant team. Verlander is washed up. Altuve is very good still, but he's not the same player. And it just doesn't feel like the same team. They had a really bad start to the year. They got hot in the middle of the summer. They're also 11-11 in their last 22 games. So, I'm kind of out on the Astros being a threat. That's probably going to come back and hurt me because, that's how that shit works. But, it's all about the roster you put together. And I think there are a lot of teams that could come out of the American League, but I think the Yankees are one of the favorites. Detroit, if they end up facing them, obviously they're on a run right now. They have completely taken out the Mariners and the Twins, probably. Terrence Skubal. Incredible pitcher, going to win the Cy Young. Cleveland, team with good pitching, but I'm not scared of that lineup. There's a lot of holes in their lineup. I'm not scared of them in general. But that's what the American League's looking like right now. And it's most likely going to be Kansas City or Baltimore if things remain the same. So, Pittsburgh is up next. Before we wrap this up, let's tip our caps to the rest of the guys from the series. I'm going to tip my cap to Aaron Judge among the lineup. Aaron Judge in this series, 4 for 9, 444 average, a 2059 OPS, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, 4 walks, 4 runs scored, 13 total bases in these 3 games against the O's. Look at these numbers on the season for Judge. I'm going to read them out loud here. On the season, Aaron Judge across 157 games, he's batting .325 with a .461 on base percentage, .708 slugging percentage, 1169 OPS, 36 doubles, 1 triple, 58 home runs, 144 RBIs, 133 walks, 122 runs, 166 strikeouts, 392 total bases, 10 stolen bases. I mean, that is so, like, what I love, the slugging being over 700 is hilarious. The OPS, the way I'm looking at it is like Aaron Judge's OPS on the year. He's 169 points higher than not league average, but 1,000, which is absurd. His OPS is 169 points higher than 1,000, which if you have an 1,000 OPS, you're one of the top 3 bats in baseball. So he's 169 points higher than that. That's insane. And all the Ohtani stuff is crazy that he's getting all this hype. Look at the 2 side-by-side comparisons. Judge beats him in everything but what? Stolen bases? And he's playing a position. So you're not going to get that many stolen bases when you're playing center field every day. Judge has been incredible. And he's the best player in baseball, and it's not close. So I'm tipping my cap to him. That's 18 salutes now in the season for Aaron Judge. Let's go to the bullpen. Real briefly, I'm going to tip my cap to Tommy Kahnle, who pitched in 2 games this series, Game 1 and Game 3. In his final line in this series, an inning and a third, no runs, a strikeout, a walk, a hit, which was 1 single, 31 pitches, 2 no decisions. So good for Tommy Kahnle. Keeps going on that changeup, which makes him effective versus lefties. That's now 7 salutes on the season for Tommy Kahnle. So good for him. He's going to be a good part of that bullpen in October, especially with Cousins kind of TBD at the moment. And I think that's it, people. So what we're going to do is we're going to get to our final break, and then we're going to wrap it up with our trivia question when we return, and that will be that. Stay with us. Be right back here on episode 714 of BD4. Be right back.
If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
All right, folks. With that said, episode 714, going to wrap up here with our trivia question. Okay, so we got a true or false for this one. True or false? True or false? The Yankees hold the American League record for division titles. Is that true or false? The Yankees hold the American League record for division titles. That's all we got, folks. True or false? Appreciate you all tuning in. Episode 714 is in the books. Now, we'll do our recap after the Pirates series. If I remember, we'll do report cards. Maybe that'll be a separate episode in the coming week before the postseason begins. But I think what we did last time in the playoffs, since the postseason's obviously longer series, I think we're going to do episodes after every 2 postseason games in a round. So after the first 2 games, we'll record. And then after the next 2 games, we'll record. You know, if a series only goes 3 games, then we'll record after the deciding game. So it's going to be, you know, say the Yankees sweep. After the first 2 games, we'll record, and then we'll record after the final game. So it's most likely going to be 2 episodes a series. All right, so we'll tip our caps and all that. Once a series still, that'll be in the later episode of the series. But we're going to be recording every 2 games when it comes to the postseason. So that's the deal there. But we are going to record after this Pirates series. And then again, maybe in the same episode or in a separate episode, we'll do some report cards in the year if I have time. But that's it for this episode. We are an hour and 7 minutes in about. So we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate you all who've tuned in all season. Thank you, all of you. My podcast is just a hobby. It's something I enjoy doing. I do this because I like hearing myself talk. I yap. And, you know, I don't have many Yankees fans at work. I'm like, I work with a couple of Yankees fans, but like, I like to hear myself think, you know. So I like to get my thoughts out on this shitty little podcast. But it has grown. You know, I've got some listeners, I've got some followers on socials. So I appreciate you all who keep in touch with my moderators and stuff. They like communicating with you guys too on social media. I have a couple people who edit this podcast and also post me on social sometimes. So I appreciate you all. I really do. And with that said, I'm excited for the postseason, and I hope you all follow along with me there too. So thank you all, and I'll see you in the next show. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees, and go Knicks!